Shut up and sit down.
All right, fellow investors, ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to have you with us today. I am your moderator, Mike Doney, Director of Marketing for Milwaukee Hard Money. Today with me, I've got Scott Lurie and Sarah Pink Floyd. Today's topic is going to be understanding after repair value. This is a beginner level course, but obviously we welcome all level of investor to today's session, and we're looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you about ARV, how to find ARV, and we're going to welcome any of your questions throughout the session today, so please feel free to share those with us in the comments, and we will kind of answer them as we go along. Before I toss it over to Scott and Sarah, one last note. We do have a lot of information that we're going to be reviewing today. So we're going to try and get through everything. But again, certainly leave your questions in the chat session and we will make sure to answer those as we go along. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Scott and Sarah.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Fellow investors in Milwaukee and the surrounding areas. Thanks for joining us today. One of the common questions, comments we get every day is, how do we determine the after repaired value? So we thought today might be a careful and opportune time to further discuss exactly how we as lenders and investors get to what we describe as the after repaired value. As I'm assuming we all know, we all invest to make money, and understanding the after repaired value and its importance to making money and help maximizing your profit potential is critical. So one could easily say making a mistake related to determining the after repaired value could certainly result in losses, certainly could result in mistakes. And those folks that are not grasping the after repaired value piece of it, we've set forth this hour to discuss on a beginner's level what the after repaired value is, how do we determine the after repaired value, and then we have a puzzle for you at the end of the day, which we're going to ask you, what would you pay for our property? And we look forward to your responses. So as we said, this is obviously an interactive class. Mike, thank you for the beautiful introduction, and Sarah, always thanks for being by our side here. What is the after repaired value, right? Everyone throws this acronym around, ARV, ARV. What the hell does ARV mean? It simply means the after repaired value. And so, what's the purpose of the after repaired value? The after repaired value basically takes into account the value of the property plus improvements to get to the future value, or simply said, the after repaired value of what the property will be once we have successfully completed what we describe as the repairs. We use in our lending business, we use the term scope of work more frequently, but the after repairs. Understand that this number is not a fixed number. It's not a number that if Sarah came up with a number, I came up with a number, and Mike came up with a number, we're not going to all be the same number, but we should all be within a very, very short stone's throw of each other. And so I use that to share with you, the grass is not greener. Investor A should not come up with an after repaired value that is 20% higher than investor B versus investor C, and vice versa. These numbers should materially be as close to each other as possible by using what we call an approach of science and sales comparables to get to a number. And so the nice part about the numbers that we use to get to an ARV, which we're going to discuss in a little bit, is really the ARV is not a feeling. It's really a calculation of facts. We're hunters, we're investors, we're those trying to figure out how to get to the after repair value. And so by doing so, once we finally get there, I see all of us sharing in the joys of understanding what that value really becomes. And what does it really mean? All it means is how much money am I going to make, right? Who cares about the rest of it? I want to make money, right? I want to make money. I assume that's all we want to make is money. So We want to make money. We're focused on profit maximization, risk mitigation, wealth opportunity, and so much more, right? What does the ARV mean to you? You get to think about that, right? But don't forget, it always comes down to what am I going to earn? What is my risk? What is my opportunity? And so ARV is critical, right? This is beginner 101. So what is that purpose, right? What am I trying to find? What is the purpose of finding the ARV? Sarah, what are we looking for basically in the purpose of finding this ARV? What are we after?
It's imperative to know the ARV before you even think about how much to offer. That's got to be kind of your number one go-to. That's helps you make those decisions on whether it's worth pursuing that opportunity and how much you'll be looking to offer on it.
So let me ask you a question. So let's think about it like this for a minute. How many people would work X amount of hours or days or months or years to earn $20,000, right? We talk about this a lot in our business, right? How hard will you work to earn $30,000? How hard will you earn $40,000, $50,000, $60,000? How hard are you going to work, right? How hard are you going to leave your day job where you're grinding away to go make some money in real estate? Or how often are you going to use your day job and then real estate to supplement your income, right? How hard are you willing to work, right? So the ARV really gets us to the point where we can make an educated decision and help mitigate our risk, right? Think about it. If I want to go make more money, the last thing I want to do is I'm working at, let's say, I don't know, Kohl's, for example, and I want to get involved in real estate. The last thing I want to do is go work at Kohl's. Can you let in that person, please? The last thing I want to do is go work at Kohl's and then go make a real estate investment and go backwards, right? I want to lose money. No, who wants to lose money? No one does. And so I want to encourage everyone. The ARV helps mitigate risk, but the ARV is most used for rehabbers, right? If by way of hands that no one can raise, other than right here, you can probably see me, I'm a rehabber, right? I use ARV to determine how much money I'm going to make. And you should do the same thing, right? The number one thing we get on our loan applications is, what do you as an investor think about what is the ARV, right? So think about this question we get all of the time. Think about this all of the time. We get, I think the ARV is $100,000. I'm buying it for 70 and I got to put 20,000 into the property, right?
You're not going to make money.
Well, let's do the math. We got 70,000 of purchase price. We got 20,000 of repairs. The house is worth 100, and people think, new investors think, I'm going to make 10 grand. And how hard would you work for 10 grand? I'll work pretty damn hard. But are you really going to materialize 10 grand in that transaction? What happens to the realtor commission when you go to sell the property? What happens to the carrying costs? What happens to the financing costs? What happens to taxes, insurance, escrows? So we have to create a grandiose thought process behind how do we create the biggest differential when we're flipping houses from what the ARV is to what our offer is. That number equals profit.
And I think newer investors sometimes get scared to push to go for their first deal because they're nervous but again, I mean, risk is reward. There is always some risk level, but understanding the ARV is so critical to make sure you are going to be profitable in your deals.
So
can you turn the recording on? Sorry. The recording on the screen there. Sorry, all the way to the right. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. So let's go through the basics, right? This is a beginner's class, but God, it's sure nice to know. I mean, if I could go back and go to beginner's algebra, I think I'd learn a lot more today than I would learn when I was like my son, 15, and there were many other things on my mind besides algebra. So let's go through that for a minute. So how do you determine the ARV, right? What are we looking for? What are you looking for? What is the aggregate group of people, us deemed rehabbers, us deemed lenders to rehabbers? What are we looking for? So we look at the ARV by looking at what we describe as comparable properties, right? Who's heard the term comps, right? I want to know what the comps are. Tell me the comps. What is comps? Comps are very simply comparable property data, right? And so the notion is that we're looking for the most similar possible properties to the property we're looking to buy. So Sarah, let's take the property type, right? We're going to talk about property type, but we're going to talk a bunch of other things. So if we have 10 comps and I'm buying a ranch, what product am I looking for in the comparables to get started, right? What's the easiest one I want to get to?
Ranch.
Right, ranches, right? And so in a neighborhood that we're building in, right? Remember how the world came together. Developers, real estate investors said, okay, I'm going to go build ranches. They didn't typically build one ranch. They built a neighborhood of ranches. And so if we can, in that neighborhood, determine what the ARV is based on the neighborhood, based on the comparables of that neighborhood, which typically could be the same type of housing stock, we're much better off, right? We're comparing an apple to an apple. Now, the apple, one might be a green apple because the siding might be green, and one might be a red apple because the siding is red. But at the end of the day, it's an apples to apples comparison. And so a couple things we look at, right? We look at the condition of the property. We look at the age of the property. So age differential, right? So if we're in the same neighborhood and one house was built in 1968 and the neighborhood was built in 1968, but what happens if there's been 2 fires in the neighborhood and a new house was built in 2003? Is that a fair comparable?
I don't feel so.
Yeah, so in our world, we're Xing and Oing, we're bobbing and weaving, trying to get to the puzzle, right? We're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. This piece of puzzle is a 9-piece puzzle, right? So during COVID, when my son was bored, I was at home with him, he did a 2,000-piece puzzle, right? We're doing a 9-piece puzzle, right? We're looking at condition, we're looking at age, we're going to look at size of the property. What does size mean to many people, right? Well, let's think about size in 2 fashions, right? Size is square footage of the particular structure that is on the property. And then size equals that of your lot acreage, right? So a 0.25 acre lot is not comparable to a 3 acre lot, right? Can we all agree to that? Makes sense to everybody pretty consistently. So thinking through that, as we look at size, right? Size is important, but also size of lot is important. And then inside of that square footage, the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, garage spaces, finished basements, etc., are really important to this puzzle. Sherlock Holmes, we are detectives. We are going to determine what's there. The nice part is, and we're going to get there in a minute, but the nice part is we have so much data surrounding the transactions of real estate. The data points are unbelievable. There are so many of them that you can't believe how many data points we have. And then we look at the construction and style of home, a ranch, a bungalow, a colonial, a brick, et cetera, right? And then the last thing that is probably most important is the location of the property, right? Typically within 1 mile or less, but ideally you have to be in the same neighborhood, subdivision, demising lines, right? If you are in west of 124th Street, or if you're east of 124th Street, one's in Milwaukee, one's in Brookfield, right? That matters, right? We have to be detectives. Go to the properties. Determining the ARV is not only a science experiment you do in your home or with a realtor, it's also one you do in your car by driving by it.
I see people that do comps within more than one municipality, like if it's Milwaukee and Wauwatosa, they might be right across the street, but they're completely different. School districts, taxing, the values are different. So I always make sure to stay within the municipality. And as far as like staying within 1 mile radius or less, if I'm in specifically city of Milwaukee where there's higher concentration, I really narrow that only to a few blocks or a quarter mile, or instead of doing a radius around, you kind of do a block, like a square with major roads.
And we're going to show you that exact example in a minute. We're going to be going through a real live example. We are going to be asking you what you think, and I certainly hope someone nails it today. So let's talk about where to find comps, right? The multiple listing service is a nationwide program, right? It is a subscription-based, described by the Realtors Association, run by brokers that have realtors, right? It is the best data possible. The data that's on there is foolproof, right? It typically includes pictures. It includes everything you've ever wanted to know about the properties that have sold, and there's a reason for it. And let me back you up for a minute. How did the MLS become so powerful? Because the lobbying unions for the realtors or the brokers say that there's no fraud, right? You have to put everything through the organization called Multiple Listing Service so that there is nobody not getting paid or getting paid, et cetera, et cetera. So the data is unbelievable. The data source is unbelievable. And you as an investor can get to this data source by finding the right realtor. And so or broker. And so I only leave that with you is the best source is MLS. If you can if you can become your own realtor, you get your own data source. If you have to be dependent on a realtor, I'm not a realtor, for example, so I'm dependent on Sarah to get me my data source. And Sarah is a broker realtor, and so I'm dependent on her. Now, the other way to do it is through an appraisal, right? Appraisers have access to MLS as an appraiser. So if you become a licensed appraiser, you have access to the multiple listing service. You pay for it, by the way. But it gives you the same data that Sarah will be able to pull, I'd be able to get from Sarah, any realtor would be able to get, etc. The other websites that everybody uses are the litany of websites, starting with Zillow, running through Trillium, and running through all of the other sources that are out there. However, go ahead, Mike.
Just to stop you real quick.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't have access to MLS and let's just say times are tight, right? I don't want to pay for a realtor just yet because I want to do my research and I don't want to pay for an appraisal just yet. Are the property listing websites valuable enough?
Yeah, so let's go back to how realtors get paid. That's a great question. So think about this. A realtor gets paid on a transaction, a successful closing. So asking a realtor to run the comps for you should be something that they are used to, accustomed to, and doing every day. It doesn't cost you any money.
Charge for that.
There is no charge for that. There is no value to it. What they're trying to get to is a successful closing, to which at what time you get a successful closing, they get paid, and you move on as the investor and you own the asset. So yes, Zillow is important, right? Zillow is a data feed. It does tell you what's going on in the world. It's not as good as MLS. It doesn't show you all of the data points that MLS shows you that is critical. MLS is the most efficient vehicle and will always be that way to determine comparables.
Even if, just to talk a little further, those are popular listing websites, you could try using them, but that might just be preliminary. You're always going to want to get comps from an MLS, in my opinion. And if I encourage the investors to get their license, to just have the direct access, or make sure that your realtor understands ARV and that they're investor friendly and understand what investors are looking for.
Investors are looking for, but sorry, an investor is different than a homeowner, right? If you or your family are going to buy a house, you are dealing with that type of investor. I mean, that type of realtor, right? A realtor who's a polished person who's going to come up and show you a million homes and discuss many different things with you. A realtor who focuses on the investor community has a whole different mindset, right? We're going to be turning a lot of comparables. We're going to be writing a lot of offers. Not many are going to get accepted. We're going to get some that are accepted. We're going to continue to chase the world, and that's okay. But you need to find them. They're in every market, every single market, and they're looking for you. So go find them.
I have a suggestion too. You could, if you have a realtor and you want to be able to see solds in the last 6 months, you could have a realtor create a portal for you that you could log in to their MLS through the portal with your area and look at solds in the past 6 months in the areas you're focusing on. So that could be something your realtor could set up that you could look at directly through the portal. If you didn't want to wait on time on waiting for them to get you the comps, just so you could directly look at them right away. And also, one more thing, when you have a realtor provide you with comparables, make sure they're also giving you the tax info sheet called wire data.
Which you're going to see in the next slide. So hang tight for a minute on that, Sarah. So let's go through some Milwaukee Hard Money Pro tips that we want to just kind of share with you. It's a good practice to find 3 to 6 comps that are sold no more than 12 months prior, right? 12 months is 1 year of time. Start with 6 months, be prepared to go to 12 months. But that's good data, right? The closer the comparables, the better they are. And then who knows what DOM is, right? I'm sure everyone does that's looking at the screen, but it's days on market, right? Days on market really indicates, it's an indicator of the market condition, right? Is the market strong? Is it not strong, right? So if you take, for example, Brookfield today, or you take Milwaukee, or you take Wauwatosa, or you take, these markets have very, very low days on market, which means it is a hot market, right? This is a seller's market. So if I'm a buyer able to buy something, my next job is to sell it. I'm selling into a seller's market. That's good for me. So days on market is critical. Don't miss these little datas, right? Check every box on every comp you are running. In a comp, which we've told, but we haven't fully validated yet, a comp must be a sold product, not active with offer. Those deals can fall apart a million times. Focus on the sold product. Sold product equals facts. You know all of the facts. And then if you can't find any comps, which happens very rarely, right? A lot of the I can't find any comps, happens in the outlining areas of where investors are looking to invest. Think about if that's the right investment you want to make, right? The area might be too risky. They might only have 3 transactions a month. They might only have 3 transactions a year, for that sake. Who knows?
It might be a unique property type, like outside of kind of the surrounding houses, and that would make it riskier.
Yeah, and I would just say, as a new investor, an investor looking to get off the sidelines, don't create a new world for yourself. Find the products that are hot markets that you can get good data on to determine your values, right? Time plus distance, right, equals the better the comp value, right? So if you have 6 solds in the last 2 months that are 0.25 miles away from the house, you know the value. We know the value, and so that's important. So everyone, pay attention if they can for 2 seconds onto this next slide, because here's the question of the day, right? So we're going to discuss a property at 2617 East Birchwood Avenue, which we are buying tomorrow. That's a true story, by the way. It's not like a joke or something. So we're buying this property tomorrow. So my question to you is, what would you pay for this property? So be prepared in the comment section when you have a minute as we go through this to tell me what you pay for it, right? So looking at the wire data that's on the right, it shows the property is assessed at $170,000. The property's owned, and this is the wire data that Sarah was showing you. So this wire data is a full report. It tells you a lot of really cool things about this property. It tells you the homeowner, right?
Can you remind our participants where we get this wire data from?
Yeah, so this wire data comes out of MLS. So when you're getting comparable data, when you're getting comps, remember to ask for the wire data. Sarah asked about this earlier. She said, remember to give me the wire data. And the wire data is just, it's a summary sheet, right? It's basically pulled off of a tax number. It's wire data. But what it tells me about this property, right, is the following. It's 1,272 square feet. It's 3 bedrooms. It's 1 bath. It's 1 half bath. It's built in 1964, and the house is in Milwaukee County. Excuse me, it's in the city of Cudahy in Milwaukee County, right? So it doesn't give me any meaningful data other than it validates a little bit of information, right?
It has a little bit more. It talks about total number of rooms, what building type it is, that it's ranch, the exterior.
But from a comparable number, this is the baseline, right? This is getting me the meat. This is getting me to the meat and potatoes, right? The stuff that we're about to show you right now is the potatoes. No, it's the meat and the potatoes. So it's coming together into what we're saying, right? So the parcel information, which we have now, if you can go to the next slide.
I also think you can subscribe yourself to wired data.
You can pull this information. This information comes from many sources, especially the next source, which I'm pulling right now, is from the city of Cudahy. Offers public available information to tell me about the property that we're looking at. So the property that I just pulled is very similar to the information that we just saw, which tells me that it's 0.227 acres. The value of assessment is still the 170, as you can see here. This is all available on the city of Cudahy's website. They're available in the Washington County. They're available in Ozaki County. They're available in the city of Milwaukee. All of this information you can pull offline. There's nothing material about this. It's giving you facts.
Other things you can do is call the city of Cudahy. You could ask if they have a survey on file or any additional information. This has like the tax information, but not all the details of the individual property square feet and things like that. So,
but we're going to get that. We're going to get to that number, right? We know the square footage from the wire data. We know the square footage from what the city might or might not report in this particular area. It gives you a little bit about the legal description, but all irrelevant stuff, right? I'm on a mission, right? Don't forget my mission. Don't get in my way. I'm going to find the value of this property, right? I want the ARV. That's all I want. I don't really care about a survey, quite honestly. I don't really care about when this house was built yet. I do care in a minute about what it is. I want to know what I can get right now, and now I'm on a mission. So let's move on to the next slide, which is very important to what we're doing here. And here we are, right? So this is MLS. What you're seeing right here is a screenshot from MLS, okay? So if you look at the screenshot, right, we pulled a radius.
We did a 0.7 mile radius, and I kept it to more of the west side of Cudahy versus the east side. There are a couple major streets, so I kept to the west in that pocket of Cudahy. And then if you see on the left side some of the data points, my initial preliminary search for comps, I'm checking the County of Milwaukee, Municipality of Cudahy. I am checking the status as active, pending, and sold, even though my weight on the data is going to be on the solds. I just like to see what else is happening.
Yeah, but so Sarah, so let's talk about that for a minute. So MLS has the ability right now to show us actives. As you see, status of. Does everyone see that in the left corner? The third one down. We got County, Milwaukee, Municipality, Cudahy, and then the next one is status of. And status of. So in MLS, when an offer comes in, when a listing goes on, it goes active. When a listing goes under contract or something else happens, it goes pending. And then when the actual date of the property closes and the realtor gets paid and they bring their commission to the broker and the broker brings the money back, then they say the property's sold, and now you have sold data. So Sarah at this point is she's hunting, right? We're out there looking for the 12-point buck, and we're hunting, right? So we're going to look in active, we're going to look in pending, we're going to look in solds. We're just looking, right? We want data, right? Because in this scenario, the data costs us nothing. In the scenario where you ask the realtor to send you something, the data costs you nothing. So Sarah is using a 0.75 mile radius from where we are to determine what we're getting. Now, think about this. The other thing that Sarah has put in here, right, is she has checked a box to limit the sold data at this point to be 6 months. And so you can see that.
I got 18 results.
So, well, before we get to the results, let's continue on with the data points, right? So Sarah she could put that down 2 years. She can make that 5 years. You can make that 3 days, right? You can narrow into your comparables so quickly by just toggling dates, right? So right now we're looking at 6 months. And right now, the next thing that she checked, which was very interesting, is the architecture of equals a ranch. Right now, go back for 2 minutes if we can, and you don't need to go back, Mike, but if you go back to the wire data, we know this property is a ranch. So would it make sense to try to find a comparable of a ranch to a ranch? The answer is yes. I know everyone's bobbing their head and saying yes, and that's great. A ranch to a ranch, right? So ranch to ranch, Hidden Valley versus some generic, it's still ranch, right? We're still eating the ranch, right? We're focused on the ranch. And so ranch is critical to what we're doing. Now, we can expand that search in a little bit, but we can also dial that in. So if you click to the next page for 2 minutes.
I did want to comment on one thing, though, with the ranches. Let's say the results came up and it's 3 ranches. I'm going to remove that from my search right away and also kind of look at other property types if there weren't as many ranches. But because there are so many ranches, I'm keeping it focused on ranches.
Yeah, and the answer, Sarah, is though, if you put ranch in and we get 18 results, there is absolutely no reason to go back.
Exactly.
So we don't ever need to go back. So, let's just pause for a minute. 18 results, here they are.
I did not limit to number of bedrooms, bathrooms right away. I just kind of wanted to see all what was happening in that neighborhood first.
Well, so Sarah, in MLS, you can limit to say that you only want to see ranches that have 3 bedrooms?
You can.
Okay, so are we paying attention to this, guys? This is so critical. The data subset that you can have can be drilled down to the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. Every one of those categories that you're seeing on the top, you can search on, you can restrict on, and you can filter on. So right now, Sarah did not limit the number of number of bedrooms, but as you can see, most of them are predominantly 3 bedrooms, but there is a 4-bedroom and there is a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
So whatever the anomaly is, who knows?
Like, what if I kind of like to see one bath versus 2 bath? What if I decide I might want to add a second full bath? Is it worth it or not? So I just kind of like to not fully limit my data to specifically 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. I like to see a little bit of a range, and then I can always narrow it down from there.
Okay. So now, hang on a second. Has anyone figured out what we should pay for this property? So think about this. So
we've only seen fair market value so far, right?
Well, we're getting there, but sometimes there's always a smart genius in the group that knows what to pay for the property. I don't know. So here's where we are, okay? We've dialed in the numbers. We've got 18 results, right? If we look at the results and if we go to the estimated acreage, right? All of these houses at the end of the day are within a stone's throw of size, right? We can agree to that, right? You've got 0.2, 0.19, 0.21, so we are in an area that in 1955 to 1970, the build and the size were all pretty the same, right? So we've got a really, really, really good subset of comparables at this point, but I'm not happy yet. So let's ask why. Let's talk through this, right? So of these 18 comparables, right? So now I've exhausted, and I when I say exhausted, I have just put in 3 minutes of work. So I'm pretty tired, but let's keep going, right? 3 minutes. I asked MLS to give me the following data subset. I put in the address, and 3 minutes later, I have this bit of data in front of me, right? The other thing that's interesting is if you look under the status, right? So let's talk status for a minute. So status sold important, active with C or active with offer, right? Active with contingency, and then you have pending closing, and then you have solds, right? So here we go. So we have enough solds in here. We have enough activity. This area is pretty active, right? There's a lot going on in the west side of Cudahy right now, and let's talk about it. So if we look at all of these numbers, why would a house on East Henry Avenue sell for $122,750? And why would a house on Elaine Avenue sell for $247? And why would Ramsey sell for $233? Ramsey's a pretty busy street. And Indiana, although it's active with offers, $224. And then we go to Illinois, that's $216. I'm not 100% satisfied at this point, right? And then in that market, in that submarket, we have 183 to 198 of a bunch of comparables. So what do we think happened, right? Detectives, Sherlock Holmes, what do you think happened, right? So here's my estimate of what happened. The first top 3 comparables are those of some type of a distress sale. And this would be my logic to you as just a simple, give me 2 seconds of your thoughts, right? So the first 3 houses have a distress sale mechanism behind it, right? I don't know if one was a fire damage. I don't know if there's updates and necessary repairs that has happened. I don't know what happened, right? Then there is a glut of product that's not going to be like mine, because I will tell you in a minute what I'm going to do to my house, which is on Birchwood. But there's a glut of product on the house that people want to be in the Cudahy School District, right? And in addition to the Cudahy School District, they want to buy a house that's not fully renovated, right? And so my guess is the 183 to the 198 are those houses, right?
Average condition.
The average condition home, right? So it doesn't have its new granite countertops. It doesn't have its new hardwood floors. It doesn't have a finished basement, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's my thesis at this point, but I'm still hunting, right? So let's go hunting, Mike.
Well, what about the top comp?
Yeah, the Tom Comp, I don't know what that is. Something happened.
We
right?
know.
Well, something happened.
It was built in 2003.
Oh, there you go. So throw it out. It's not a valuable comp for us, right? Our house was built in 1965 or 55.
64.
One was built in 2003. 2003 and 1964. The only thing close to them is nothing. So throw that out, right? That is not a valid comp. I would not use the Elaine Avenue. Goodbye. So now we're left with a little bit of a subset. So now let's dig in a little bit.
We only have 1 sold and 1 active under contract at this point.
Fair enough. Well, so that's what we have in that little box, right? So we're honing in on this little area right here to determine value. So what happened to the 122,750, right? So this was an REO. Everyone know what an REO is?
Foreclosure.
Well, it's a foreclosure, but REO, real estate owned, is a typical acronym for what banks use to describe real estate that they bring on their balance sheet as typically a result of a foreclosure, right? So the city of Milwaukee will take property back as a result of a tax foreclosure, and that'll be called an REO for the city of Milwaukee. So if you look at the pictures, which MLS provides you, right, all of this data that I'm showing you, you can get from anybody, from a realtor, and this is MLS data, right? This is pictures. So the REO sold for $122,750. So somebody had to go into this house, and please accept if I'm offending you, and remove the disgusting, ugly, pink turquoise walls that are there and make it look like 2020 home stock. So that house sold for $122,750, right? And you can go drive by that house, by the way. Go drive by East Henry Avenue and see what these folks have done to that house. Now, this could be a homeowner with a family of 3 looking to buy a value. This could be a rehabber, right? So it's sold, and we know it's sold for $122,750. Now, what I will also remind you is you can drive by every one of these houses. Just get in your car and drive by it. It's very simple. 3365 East Henry Avenue in Cudahy is a public street. Drive by it. You can even park on the sidewalk. Don't go to the house and tell me you want any food, but you can drive by this house. It's important. It's great. It's good stuff to know. So then let's look at the next one, right? So Nicholas Avenue, 127,500. Look at this house. This house is in need of a full, complete rehab, right?
You might not see it from the pictures, but the basement has standing water in it in the pictures.
Yeah, and so you look at this house and you say, why is it selling for 127? So we know right off the bat that our house is not anywhere near this, but meaning what it's going to be worth in the after repair value. In its current state, this house has problems, right? So let's factor that into the case. Now, let's talk about the other two. The 155 and the 175 all are that exactly what I suggested. And I'm not saying that to you today because I've already written this and know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you this because this is how your brain should start thinking when it gets to the after repair value, right? Why is there a glut of product? The only reason that all of those houses have sold is because they have to be in like condition for the market, right? So there is a market of buyers, which we know, who will buy these houses for 155, 175, 198 with very minimal updates, right? So if you went and bought the REO, the 122,750, and you painted and carpeted and cleaned up for 20 grand, you probably could sell this for 198. That'd be pretty good, right? 198 minus 150, play a little commissions. Maybe you make 25 or 30,000, right? And I know that doesn't seem like a lot of money. Are you kidding me, guys? That's a lot of money. Let's be prepared
These
to make that
are
money.
grandma and grandpa houses here on the bottom.
Hey,
They've been there for
my
a long
grandma
time,
and
so they
grandpa,
haven't
who are no
remodeled
longer
it.
with us, are pissed off at that comment. That is not nice.
You know, and a lot of people are look, a lot of people don't have money when they're buying their first house, right? This could also be
A lot of this is first-time home buyers, right? So this isn't that first home buyer in price, right? You know, the sub 200, 3-bedroom in a nice school district in a great community of Cudahy. We have one investor who happens to work with us who is Miss Cudahy mayor. I don't know if she's the mayor of Cudahy still, but she loves Cudahy. So, you know, Cudahy is critical to the world. So let's flip through to the next sub-segment because I'd like to get into, we're running low on time and I want to be conscious of it. Has anyone figured out what we should pay for this property on Birchwood? We haven't seen a comment yet, but I'm hoping someone can nail this one. So then we go through the next subset. We've got a couple sold at 183, average condition, 1 bath, less square footage. We look at the 185. It's in good condition, but unfinished basement. And then we have one sold at 198, finished basement, but the kitchen needed updating, right? So if we take to that, can you tell me her name or his name that just commented? Jared. So Jared, you're telling me the after repaired value, 230, that's great. Tell me what we should buy it for as the investor. I'm buying this house tomorrow. What am I paying? I'm an investor. I need to update this house. What should I pay for the property, right? You're suggesting the ARV is 230, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong, and we're going to see what happens here shortly, okay? So then go to this next picture, right? And we see the good, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. So we see the top cap of 239, which is a corner lot. And oh, by the way.
Sorry, Scott, one page back.
we're starting to get into some comps.
We're getting into some comps that are, you know, there's the average homes. Now, these are either in good condition or maybe like one was remodeled that sold for 191, but it was a lot less square feet, less bath, garage spaces. So we just kind of go through them.
Yeah, and if you look at some of these, all of the ones that are selling for under 200 are either a product of a realtor being lazy, sorry, bear with me, or something that needs updating, right? So those two facts. So
there is a sold comp for 216, but unfinished basement.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one for 2 minutes, right? So now we're looking at the solds, right? And now we've got 220,000, 233,000 well-maintained finished basements, corner lots for 231. Oh, by the way, our property is a corner lot. And so when we look at it, we're trying to find the comparables. Now, to consider about one thing that I want to just kind of discuss with you. Here's what you have to consider. Why? So here's some other great pictures, right? And so if we look at these.
This was the top comp.
Yeah, the top comp 239, right? So this house has it, right? This house has it all.
And with these comps, we actually did end up going back a year sold just to find a couple more top comps in the similar condition to ours.
Yeah, so think about what Sarah just said. So we only, if you go back to that, which I'm not going to ask you to do, and we only had 2 comps that really matched where we were going with it. That was at a 6-month data point. And so now we've gone back to a year data point to be able to help validate what this house really is worth. Okay. And so why some and why not others, right? So let's talk about this for 2 minutes because this is important. Does anyone have any questions, by the way? Does anyone want to chime in with a question, a thought? If you do, feel free to type it in there and I'm reading them so I could easily jump in and answer them. But let's say why some, why not some others. So built in the same time period, right? That's really good, right? A 1960s house versus a 1960s house is what they call a really, really good comparable. Let's stick to that, right? You've got updated rooms and design. Finished basements are huge, right? As a rehabber, you immediately increase value, especially if you can add an egress window, right? You're creating livable square feet. Good here, we have a corner lot matching ours, which is a corner lot. And then matching features based on our feature improvement. So in my mind, if I'm going to remodel this house, which I'm planning on doing starting next week, I'm going to do everything, right? I'm going to increase I'm going to finish the basement. I'm going to add the egress window. I'm going to update all the mechanicals. I'm going to paint and finish. I'm going to redo the kitchens, redo the baths. I'm going to make this place look like the version of this comparable, which is the corner lot with updates all across the board, right? I'm going after 239. Right? I'm an investor. I can tell you that comparable to comparable in the same market with the same square footage in the same location within a quarter mile of each other with a corner lot as a finished basement, I'm going for 239. So watch out.
But what you're keeping in mind, right? So let's say this place, right? It only has 3 bedrooms right now, but you're going to add that 4th bedroom in the basement.
So right. So we're going to add that. We're going to be adding some more square footage.
Yeah.
But as we saw in the comparables from the ranch size, not many people have added that and created the new bedroom, right? So it's not like I'm going to get an extra $25,000. The house is now not worth $290 because I added a new bedroom in the basement, right? So don't be a pirate. Don't create your own mess. Think about it very materially, right? If everything's selling and the top comp selling for $239, which is equal to what we're doing, we're getting somewhere. So does anyone have an idea of what we should pay for this property?
I think they need to know more about the repairs.
Well, if you can type that in your thing, we're going to get to the repairs in a minute. But let's go back for 1 minute, Mike. I want to just go back to one slide. So some of the bad that we just have to figure is outdated rooms and design. So if we use a comparable and knowing that our rooms are going to be updated and designed, that's not a good fair comp, right? You're built close, but you're built not close. 2003, 1950, 65, not a good idea. If they have an unfinished basement and I'm going to finish the basement, I would try to find a comp with a finished basement. Non-corner lot versus corner lot. Size or features not similar, right? So if somebody has a fenced-in corner lot, as we just alluded to, and someone doesn't, okay. If someone has an extra finished basement, that's a feature, right? If it has an updated kitchen, that's a feature, right? If it has a 2.5-car garage versus a 2-car garage, that's probably a feature, but it's not material enough to move forward, right? And then if you also have to think about other structural or cosmetic issues. So let's go to that next slide for 2 minutes. So here we are, and we've gotten to our final comparables, right? So the pin is where we're at, right? That's our home. So now, if you look around there, there's a property all the way to the left of what we're looking at, right? Look at that yellow line, right? That's what we call a highway freeway, right? So that's Pennsylvania Avenue, right? So if we were to pick a comparable on the other side of it, I would throw that out because we have enough data in the point where we're at. And second to that is that could be a demising line. And I'm not sure, but I have enough data within the pocket I'm looking at. If you look at the Cudahy Park, et cetera, to come to the number. So if you look at what we've shown you, we now have 5 comparables, right? We have 5 comparables. Please think about what you're going to pay for this property, please. Let's go to the next page. So just to give you an update on comparable numbers that we're looking at right now. So here they are. Right? So these are the 5 comps that I've used. And fortunately, we have 4 that have sold with them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So now if you look at Ramsey, right? So Ramsey is interesting, right? Above ground.
No, it was an error. Can I tune in on that?
Well, there has to be an anomaly there. I'm just looking at it right now. The number can't be right of 22,033, right?
Well, so realtors plug in the numbers, right? So sometimes there's errors. So on the 4th line down on Ramsey, the above grade square feet should have been 1321, and then the total square feet 2,033. You do want to look at those numbers. It's very important because realtors oftentimes put in extra square feet for finished basements, even though it's not livable square feet, but you can tell by the total square feet that there must be finished basement downstairs. And so all of the comps have finished basements.
And so to look at that, right? We've got 1,000. If you look at the first one on Indiana, right, you have 1,070 of above ground square footage, and total square footage is 1,616. So there's essentially a 580 square foot basement that's finished in our minds. And if you see that across the platform, with the exception of Ramsey, that's a fair depiction of all of these, right? So then let's just do a couple quick hunts.
And then also this is important because the little data points below shows the days on market. Between the 4 sold comps, the days on market are 2 days, 2 days, 5 days, and 4 days. And the
Mike,
sold
can you
listings.
circle that just so people can see it? Go right to the middle of the screen right there, and I'll go to the left of you. No, down, all the way down. Yep. Okay. Because this is important. This is a big point here. So right there, DOM. No, the upper left. Go move to the left now, right to the right now a little bit, right there. So if you see the days on market, right? So if you look at the days on market, you're at 2 days, 2 days, 5 days, 4 days. So
That's
can
great.
we say we are in a hot market? So you list a property for 2 days and it's sold. You list a property for 2 days, it's sold. 5 days, 4 days, right? We are in a hot market, right? Pay attention to that. That's huge. So I wanted to show you 2 other things to consider. Estimated year built, 1964, 68, 66, 68, 66, 68, all 0.17, all ranches with a variety. We have
All detached garages, 2.5, 2.
We have a great comp set right now. I couldn't feel better about this comp set than before, right? This comp set is great. And so let's go to the next slide for a minute. Do we have any questions, Mike? I can't read them.
I do want to say something too.
We lost audio.
You're coming in. Oh.
Everybody else said you can still hear. So
Okay.
Okay. The comp data below that shows you your days on market.
Hold on. There's 2 people that have lost audio, Mike. Just one.
Oh.
Okay. See if you can reconnect. Okay. Is there a call number? Okay.
So this information below has some very good data that comes through doing a CMA. So the realtor could provide you with comparables, but then if they take those comparables and plug it into a CMA,
What does CMA mean?
comparative market analysis.
So when you call your realtor and I say to a realtor, hey, can you get me a CMA for 2617 Birchwood? They should be able to say yes.
CMA is comps, yes, absolutely. But you could get a list of comps and the realtor could not put those comps in a CMA.
So you want
like
a
'em
detailed
to.
CMA.
You'd like a detailed CMA that
Okay.
lists all the comps, the full report with tax, very important, and all photos. And then you get to this data points that gives you the solds, and it gives you the averages, the low, medium, and high comparables. And it's nice because it only averages the solds. It doesn't average the actives. And so you get your average of them right there, and also gives you cost per square feet, which is a little bit skewed in this only because the one realtor entered it in incorrectly. But these are good information points that you can find through the CMA.
All right, we've got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to bring this home for you if that's okay. So can you go back up one, please, Mike? So the after repaired value is calculated by averaging the sales numbers. So we took house 1, house 3, house 4, and house 5. As Sarah said, house 2 was active with offer, so we threw that out, and we got to Jared nailed it, but we got to an ARV on this property of $230,750. So Jared, thank you for that. Now the question is, what do we pay for this property, right? Important information. So let's go to Milwaukee Hard Money Pro Tips for a minute. To get a more accurate and precise ARV, sometimes we use average price per square foot, right? So the price per square foot helps us in a scenario where we can determine, well, we've got a 300 in a market traditionally where we have issues, right? Where there's a ranch that was built for 1,300 square feet, a ranch that was built at 800 square feet, a ranch because that's material square footage. In this scenario, I would say to you, you wouldn't need to use the price per square foot. We have enough data, right? We have enough data to get to a real valuable ARV. However, in this scenario, if we were to look at the comparables, if the comparable square footage to get to the ARV, it would be $15,000 higher. Now, you might be in a pipe dream, right? We don't know, but stay focused, right? So now, before we go to the next slide, Mike, I want to see if everyone can offer what they would offer on the next property. So think about this. We are prepared to spend $75,000 on the property, on the rehab. $75,000. Don't go to the next slide yet.
The reason why, it needs a lot of excavation work. That's 35 grand of it right there.
The money we're spending is $75,000. That's the money we're putting into the property. Where the money's going, for the sake of this exercise, I hope we can get into our scope of work, which is important, but understand the property is going to be fully remodeled. There is a foundation issue on the property, so we need to figure out what we're going to do for the foundation issue. Do we have a question, Mike?
He wanted to know what our profit margin is going to be. So I said, stay tuned. It is coming.
Yep.
All right. So we've got an ARV value, we said, of 230,000.
Correct.
Take. Let's just call it 230,000. And
Yep.
now you're telling us that we're going to have to put in $75,000 on this property.
Yeah, so we're budgeting 75. Unfortunately, in the way that we're going, $75,000 is much higher than we typically would spend on the square footage of a home, but we have a significant foundation issue which needs to be addressed.
So if I do some quick math, if I
Yep.
take that out, right? So now I'm saying, all right, I've got $155,000, right? If I take my ARV and I subtract my repairs, $155,000. So now the question is to our attendees, how much would you pay for this property, right?
What would you pay? Type it in your thing. We got one from Danny P. What is Danny paying?
Danny's going to pay $86,000.
$86,000.
Well, that's the max we are
Jared's-
suggesting based on the formula.
Jared's going all in, 80% of ARV. He's saying he would offer $110,000.
Jared would offer $110,000, which is what of the ARV?
80%.
80% of the ARV. Okay. Anyone else? All right. So follow me through this, guys. Who's that?
And Michelle. Thank you, Jared, Danny, Michelle. Michelle's got 97,000 on
Okay.
her
Okay.
How much
So we're running out of time. I want to be conscious of everyone's time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward. Everyone's going to get this in their email right after this, but let's go through the next one, right? So just to give you an idea of here's what we came to for the ARV formula. We have a $230,750 ARV. We multiply that by 0.7. We minus our repairs of 75,000, and the maximum allowable offer is going to be 86,525,000. Now, if you think about what we would do here at Milwaukee ARV Money, just as a lending standpoint, but we would lend you up to $150,000 for this property, right? So we would lend you 90% of your purchase. So you'd have to bring $8,652 to closing, and we would lend you 100% of your repairs, 100%. So in this case, you would have to come to make what I'm going to show you is your money. You would have to come to the deal with about $15,000 of closing costs, fees, and down payment money. Follow me in a minute, okay? If the down payment money, by the way, is your money, you get it back when you sell the property. So in the scenario, we would lend you up to $150,000. So now, let me show you this. Mike, if we can, just for the sake of time, can we just move forward one more slide? Two more slides. So here it is, guys. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, geez. Okay. So we are paying $77,000 for this property.
So
think about this. Think about this, Mike. We pay $77,000.
mhm.
We putting in $75,000. We've got holding costs. We've got resale costs. Those are commissions on the way out. We've got financing costs, fees, interest, etc. We're going to list it for $240. All right.
we're pretty confident about that number, right?
I feel like we could even get more.
Yeah, we could push.
And the market's so hot that if I had to wait 4 days on the market or 5 days on the market to get my $240, I would do that. And so if you factor in financing charges, purchase price, budget, holding costs, carrying costs, financing charges, we believe that we will earn a $58,000 profit on this property.
That's everything taken out, right?
That's
you're
fully
walking away.
baked.
You're walking away.
We're walking away with a check for $58,000, and I'll buy anyone a beer after we sell the property. So my point is, how hard will you work for $58,000? This is going to take us 4 months. So if you did it 4 months and you did 3 of them in a year and you made $58,000 on 3 of them, I don't know, do the math, 174, but my math might be off by a nickel, but I don't think so. So my point to you is, how hard will you work for this money, right? So let me give you a little bit of information, and then I'm going to answer one of your questions. We're buying this property from a wholesaler. So how did we source this property? A wholesaler called us who needs to close and know we can close. So that's how I found this asset. They called me. Hi, Scott. Do you want to buy the property? Yes, sir. I would love to. Thank you so much. He wanted 80. We offered him 77. He's paying 50.
85. Well, he originally asked 85.
I
but
understand. He's paying 50. We agreed to 77. He's making $27,000 on his wholesale. Okay? So think about it. I'm okay with it because I love our numbers. Our comps are so strong in this market, right? So you could be a wholesaler, right? He's making $27,000. Good for him. You could be a rehabber. We're making 58. I like the long profit. I like the risk. I like the long profit. Right? So think about who you are and how you want to get there. But don't be mad at either number. If you want to make 27, be the wholesaler. If you want to be 50, you want to make 58, be the rehabber. Find where you are. But how can the wholesaler come into the world to say, I want to make 27,000? There's only one way the wholesaler made 27,000. It was by him buying it for 50, right? If he bought it for 60, he's only making 17. So you can always go up in your offer. You can never go down. No one ever says, oh, yeah, I want to retrade you, blah, blah. And this guy in particular happens to retrade him down all the time because he finds these old people. So this person, Penny or Peggy or whatever the hell her name is an older lady. She's lived in this house for 9 years. It could be since 1960 something. So think about that. So if there's any questions, type them in the thing. I'm going to answer 2 questions that were submitted to us, a couple via
Through our website.
Through our website. What resources should be used to get the most accurate ARV and cost? I think we went through that. If you have any more questions, please let us jump in there with you if we can. How do you ensure your project gets done timely and avoid penalties and additional fees? These are great questions. There is no recipe, right? It is your perseverance and diligence to get the property done is what makes a property get done. That's it, right? You are thrown every single day in your life a shitstorm, right? Let's not lie about it, right? You wake up and who knows what's happening, especially in this world, right? You know, if you're in the restaurant business, which we unfortunately are, we're now down to 25% on Friday, right? So the business already sucks, and now it sucks even more. And what do? You wake up and you go crawl in your bed and cry? No, wake up and let's go kill people. Let's go, not literally, by the way, I didn't mean it like that, but let's go out and get the world, man. Let's go make the money. And so we got to go out there and figure it out. How do you solve all of the problems you're going to have with inspectors? You've got to be on top of your business, right? You got to be aggressive. You got to be on top of your business. You got to be shrewd. You got to learn. You got to stumble. You got to fall. Then you got to pick yourself back up and march down the line, get it in the end zone, right? What did Aaron Rodgers just say? I hate all of my haters because I'm the greatest quarterback on their worst when they're the worst or something, or on my worst day, I'm their best quarterback. I mean, the guy's got swag, man. You got to carry that in the real estate world to have the swag to go and be a property flipper. It's just that simple, right? Confidence breeds confidence, which breeds profit. So continue down your road. And then we have another one. Do you have a specific format, pro forma format you have applicants use with the loan application submission? No, we don't. There are some out there on the internet. I'm cautious when I advise of that because I don't love them. They don't materially mean much to me. There are some good ones. There are some bad ones. Be scrupulous. The best course of education is to, besides coming to listen to our show, is to go out and learn, write offers, get in houses, see what they're offering, just feel the house.
You might want to talk to your local lender on how they underwrite and what they use in their performance.
You can talk to all these people, and the reality is get involved, engage yourself. Right now, get up, call a realtor, go tour a property. Just go do it. You might come up with nothing, but go do it. So
Scott, Sarah, just real quick, I know we're kind of already over
Yep.
time, and people, if you got to jump off. But so if I came to you, let's say I came to you with this property, right? And
Yep.
I had my comparables just the way listed out that you guys had.
Yep.
And I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is how much I'm going to put into it. You know, are you guys seeing this deal and you're saying, yeah, we'll lend on that?
100 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
100 out of 100. We would lend on this deal $150,000, 100 out of 100 times. To a new investor, to an old investor, to whomever. If you need guidance and support, call us. If you want to talk about it, call us. But we will do this deal 100 times out of 100 times. This deal in COVID, where it's so competitive and the world's like, this deal's a layup. This deal is a layup. This deal's a layup to go up to the rim and grab $58,000 and put it in our pocket. It's a layup.
And now
I can tell you that Shaquille O'Neal could make this layup, right? You can go make the layup. Just go do it. Get motivated. Get off your bums. Go look at real estate. Get involved in investing. You are in the right place by being here today. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Thank you, Mike, our moderator, Sarah, the anchor with me always. We look forward to seeing your deals, and I can't thank you guys enough. We will be sending out this entire script. We'll be sending out our form. If you have any questions, email Mike, email myself, email Sarah, visit our website at MilwaukeeHardMoney.com, and continue investing. We wish you guys the best of luck. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.